So one of these films most people loved and I actually hated it, and one of these everybody has hated and I thought was wonderful. I don't really know what that says. So I am a tiny bit behind. I was hoping to see Happy Death Day before recording this, but I haven't had the chance, so that will be in another video in the future. But the three films here, I've been looking forward to all of them. And the first one is Eat Local, and when I saw the poster for this, Myles was on it. I could have squealed with excitement. She looks wonderful as a vampire. And yeah, it's a vampire film that's a little bit different, and we have vampires basically trapped in this house fighting with people on the outside and people on the outside fighting with vampires on the inside, and they need to find somebody to join their group of 8. And things go wrong, things go right. Who do they go right for? It's a very odd narrative. It takes a lot of different twists that I wasn't expecting, and I can kind of see why people wouldn't like it, because there's not a lot happens. But it just has this feel that I love about it. It's visually wonderful. I think I may be slightly biased because whenever Myles came on screen, I kind of just went and got really excited. It was like an unknown dream of mine. I didn't know that I wanted her to play a vampire, but when she did play a vampire, I realised I'd been waiting my entire life for her to play a vampire. The second one hasn't had as much attention as I think it deserves. This is the Lego Ninjago movie. And the reason I think this hasn't had as much attention as the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie is because everybody knows what Lego is. Everybody knows who Batman is. Personally, I hadn't heard of Ninjago before the film was announced, and I know a lot of other people who hadn't either. So it's maybe not getting as much of a wide appeal. I thought it was basically on par with the others. It has a fantastic narrative development from start to finish. The pacing is fantastic. The characters are great. It's so adorable. The quality of animation is sensational. I don't know exactly how long it took them to make it. I'm sure I could find out on IMDb. There's so much detail in there. The story about how these school children can become superheroes, they can be who they want to be, and there's a warped father-son relationship, so I think a lot of children can relate to it. I honestly have no complaints. Also, it's a hard knock life in the soundtrack. It has such a peculiar soundtrack, but it's so effective. Very funny, wonderful dialogue. Honestly, if you have been maybe in two minds about seeing it, go and see it. Oh boy, I'm gonna get a lot of stick for this one. Blade Runner 2049. Oh, I was looking forward to this because I loved the first Blade Runner. I thought it was fantastic, really innovative, really well done. This Blade Runner is not well done, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. Although I did Google it, and I know that some people do actually agree with my opinions, that it just wasn't great. It's trying to be something magnificent. It's trying to, you know, set records and break boundaries and be this massive, colossal, best ever sci-fi dystopian film, and it's not. It fails on so many counts. Now, I will say it's not the worst film in the world. You know, if I hadn't seen the original Blade Runner and then I saw this, chances are I'd never see the original Blade Runner. But it's not good either. First of all, it's too long. And I know a lot of people say that a film's length shouldn't hinder the enjoyment, but first of all, this is the 21st century. Our attention spans are about this big, and my attention span is even smaller. 2.5 hours for a film. There's a reason why theatre shows have intervals. And usually they're not 2.5 hours long anyway. But this is far too long. But it's not just the length, it's the fact that it is so slow to progress. The pacing is awful. Even the action scenes, when there is action, and I find that a lot of time, it feels like it's world building and an unnecessary need to world build. But when we do get action, it's very slow. I find that a lot of people really talked at a pace like this. It's like somebody had turned down the speed dial in edit in post-production. And I just think, yeah, you know, just turn it up a bit. Cut out a lot of the fluff, because I do think there were some scenes that were not necessary. Basically, this film feels like it's been made for those die-hard fans of Blade Runner. Now, I like Blade Runner, but I've seen it 1.5 times or something. I know that some people have seen it 20, 30, 40 times. I feel like this film was a chance for those fans to have this big fangasm for 2.5 hours, which is fine. If a Harry Potter film was 2.5 hours, I'd love that, because I'd love to be immersed in Hogwarts for 2.5 hours. Just as I know a lot of Blade Runner fans have enjoyed the fact that they can recapture that magic with a fresh story for 2.5 hours. But for me, who is just somebody who liked the film but isn't obsessed with it, It feels like there's something not in it for me. If you liked it, that's fine. There are positive elements about it. I realise I haven't really mentioned them, but that's because I just feel seriously let down. I feel like it's actually poor quality. Not just that I didn't enjoy it, but that it's actually bad cinema practice on a lot of counts. I'm going to leave this here on that note. The next video should be a lot more positive. The kind of 3 films on my to-watch list are Murder on the Orient Express with Kenneth Branagh and Johnny Depp and Olivia Colman. I'm ridiculously excited. Cult of Chucky is almost out in the UK, which is fantastic. And yes, Happy Death Day, which I'm really looking forward to as well. And maybe The Snowman. We'll see.